Welcome to our regular thinking session, and today we are having again Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran. Acharya Vinod Sharma ji is with us और already हमारे 14-15 sessions हो चुके हैं. So today आचार्य जी second canto के last 3 chapters लेने वाले हैं. So let us welcome Acharya ji, and now it is up to you. Welcome.
So we start with the prayer.
Yes.
Yasnaji, today can you volunteer to chant?
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. I will start the prayer and then English translation, one of you can. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chev Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Now,
please read the translation.
yes. Yasna, you can do the translation.
Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today, especially, I would like to welcome our Chinese friend, Feng Wei. She is from Hong Kong, and she's one of the yoga teachers.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. Wei.
Hi, Dr. Sharma. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste. Hare Krishna. Welcome.
Krishna.
She's so enthusiastic to learn about our Vedic culture.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
So we have been discussing about this Mahapuran, the great scripture, great epic, which has 12 different sections, 12 cantos. So now we are reading from the second canto. And this canto describes about the creation. So we discuss certain parts about creation. Now in the concluding part today, before we move on to the third canto, which is going to be very interesting, the conversation between a great devotee of Krishna, Vidura, and his guru, Maitreya Muni. So in this concluding part, last time we discussed Parikshit Maharaj, the grandson of Arjuna, put forward some questions to Shukadeva Goswami, and Shukadeva Goswami appreciated his questions. This is our Vedic culture. You know, we encourage discussion, we encourage questions, and all the scriptures which are compiled, they are like question and answer between the guru and his disciples. So in our Vedic culture, we encourage questions. Questions should be asked out of curiosity to clarify the doubts, not in a challenging way. If a student is very keen to learn, then the student should come in the submissive manner, not in a challenging manner. So when someone asks in a submissive manner, then the guru becomes obliged to answer the question and to clarify the doubts which the disciple may have in his mind or her mind. So when Parikshit Maharaj asked the questions very sincerely, out of curiosity and out of eagerness to learn from a great sage like Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami appreciated and admired him for asking the questions. Now, these questions were asked by Parikshit Maharaj not because he did not know the answers, because he also was a great devotee of Krishna, being the grandson of Arjuna and son of Abhimanyu. So he knew the answers, but for the benefit of mankind, he asked these questions from Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami welcomed his questions, admired him, and praised him for asking such questions for the benefit of mankind. And then, when Shukadeva Goswami started giving the answers, responding to his questions, he started with the points speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said that when Brahma appeared on the lotus flower which sprouted from the navel of Lord Vishnu, then he could not understand the cause of his birth. Who was responsible for his birth? He wanted to find out how did he come into existence. Then he went down to the stem of the lotus flower, but he could not find the end of the lotus flower. Just a second. Huh? Haribol. Yeah, so Shukadeva Goswami, when he started answering, so about Brahma I was talking about. So Brahma could not find the root of that lotus flower. Then he went back again on the top and he sat on the lotus flower and started meditating on the form of Lord Vishnu. And then he heard two letters, Ta and Pa. When the waves of the ocean, the water, go back and forth, they make these two, they make the sound. And the sound vibrations are of two letters, Ta and Pa. That means Tap. Tap means austerity. So he got the message that he was supposed to do austerity, do meditation to get the answers to his questions. And after meditation, when he was meditating on the form, then Lord Vishnu was very pleased on his submissive nature and on his attitude of austerity, not enjoying. Brahma did not want to enjoy, but he believed in doing austerity. So it is said, then when I want to ask, how do you define austerity? How do you define tapasya?
You said meditation. This
Yeah,
meditation.
meditation is part of tapasya.
Okay.
But what is the meaning of tapasya?
Discipline, a disciplined action.
Discipline action also is part of tapasya. Tapasya is a very wide term.
Yes.
Briefly,
With absolute
it means,
focus and the intention.
yeah, that focus, you can say that, is a kind of meditation.
So one way, could it be like something which like doesn't come easy for me, in which I have like, which is, I mean, which I usually don't do, like going against my pleasures and all, and then going for it.
Yes, you're right. So in brief, it is said, when someone accepts some kind of discomfort voluntarily, intentionally, not by force. Tapasya means it should be voluntarily done with proper intention. It should not be imposed on us by somebody. So that is not tapasya, that is torture. So tapasya means, when someone voluntarily accepts any uncomfortable situation or position. So that person is known as, he's doing some tapasya. So again, we have to learn to differentiate between tapasya, the austerity, and torture.
Right.
There is difference between tras. Tras means torture, and tapasya, the austerity.
Yeah.
So when Brahma started doing tapasya, austerity, and meditation was part of it. So Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him and told him that he was very pleased with his attitude, because Brahma is the first person in the creation, in the material creation,
Mm.
in the universe. Brahma is the first person. So in spite of being the first person, despite being the first person, Brahma did not show any kind of arrogance. He showed humility. And because of his humility, in a submissive manner, he did the austerity, and then Lord Vishnu was pleased by that attitude, by his mindset, and then appeared in front of him. And then instructed Lord Brahma to start the work of creation. Brahma is known as the engineer or the architect of the whole universe, right? So then Brahma, following the instructions of Lord Vishnu, he started creating the world, the universe, different planets, innumerable planets in the universe, and 8.4 different species, 8.4 million different species of life. Now we talked about the theory of evolution. How many of you do you remember? The modern theory of evolution, the fake theory of evolution, the illogical, baseless theory of evolution.
That we have come from apes, or maybe like the first thing that came into existence was amphibians, fishes, and all that. Is it?
Yeah. Now this is according to the modern so-called theologists, or the scientists, Darwin, Charles Darwin, right? So these kind of theories were imposed upon us in our school days, and then later on, he himself came up with this some kind of fault in his own theory, saying that there is some missing link. So this is the problem with the modern so-called scientists. They are not absolute. Always there is some kind of fault. Then a new scientist comes and he finds a fault in the previous scientist.
Same thing is happening with the medicines also.
Definitely, no doubt about it.
So,
Hello.
this a question came into my mind after you, 2-3 sessions before, when you were like, we talk about the extinction of some species now. Like, so what is it really happening? Are they really being extinct or dormant for some time because of some leela of Bhagwan, or what is it?
Absolutely. It
Can you
is not
explain that?
like completely they are becoming extinct. Yes, on the Earth planet, they may become extinct. We may not be able to see them, but they are there in the creation.
Yeah.
So 8.4 million species of life are there from the beginning, from the time of creation, when the creation started. It's not that initially, like once we discussed about the creatures only in the water, then the creatures came into existence which can survive in the water and on the land, and then reptiles like that, and then the creatures walking on the land only like that. So this theory is completely wrong, because we talked about in Satya Yuga, the first Yuga, the golden age, the incident of Satyavrata king, right? So he saw a small fish in a river. So he felt very compassionate towards the fish. He brought that fish, and when he picked up that fish from the water, the fish started talking to him. That, please, you are a king, and it is your duty to protect all the creatures, not only the human beings, but all the citizens. All the creatures are the citizens of your kingdom. These kind of instructions which are mentioned in the Bhagavatam, now modern politicians, they should understand what is the responsibility of a leader? It's not only protect the human beings. A leader is supposed to protect all the citizens living in that territory. Even the small insects are to be protected because they also have the life. They also have soul. So now the leaders are becoming very biased. They are protective of human beings and they are killing so many innocent animals. And that in the animal kingdom also, some animals they are protecting, like cats and dogs, and they will fight for them, like animal protection. There is a big kind of a group, they want to protect animals. Then what about the innocent other animals which are slaughtered in the slaughterhouse? Why don't you protect them also? So they have double standards. So coming back to this incident, so when king heard the fish talking to him, he felt very compassionate and he felt responsible to protect the fish. So he brought the fish to his kingdom and he asked the servants to create a pond where the fish can survive. So when the fish was put in that pond, the fish started increasing in size. So that pond became quite small for the fish. So eventually the king had to bring that fish to the sea because no pond, no lake, no river was enough for the fish to live in. So king brought the fish to the sea, big ocean. Then there also the size of the fish increased, became a very gigantic. The king could not see the face and the tail of the fish. Then he heard the celestial sound. The fish told him that the devastation is going to take place after some time, and he should collect all the herbs, valuable herbs, plants, seeds, and 7 sages. And there will a boat which will appear at the shore of the sea. Everybody should board that boat, and all the seeds and herbs and everything should be put on that boat, and that fish will help the king to go around the ocean till that devastation part, that whole, we can say that thousands and thousands of typhoons energy was there. So then during 7 days in the fish was taking the king and the sages around in the ocean, and at that time the fish gave the knowledge to the king and the sages. So I think I mentioned to you now, unfortunately, even in India also, many so-called scholars, they try to equate the Darwin's theory of evolution to the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu. They say Lord Vishnu also appeared in the fish form first, because creatures were only there in the water. But they don't mention about the king. So it was not only fish, only creatures in the water. The king also were there. They used to live on the land, right? Kings, sages, all the human beings were there. If there was a king, then there must be citizens. Right? So human population was already there. Human progeny was already there. So that's why, our Guru used to say, to understand these sublime topics, we need to look at the scriptural subjects with the Shastra Chakshu. That means the vision of the scripture from the perspective of scriptures, not this so-called self-proclaimed scientists that we are inventing this theory.
So
right?
one question I have in my mind, this pralaya had happened in between the Satyuga only, in the middle
Before
of Satyuga.
before. I mean, in the beginning of Satyuga.
Beginning, okay.
Yeah. See, the devastation also, there are interim devastations also. Devastation which happens after every 12 hours of Lord Brahma. After 14 Manvantaras, their duration is over. So that is interim devastation. And then the devastation happens, final devastation happens when 100 years of Lord Brahma are completed.
Like Pralaya and Mahapralaya.
Mahapuran, that's right.
Everything goes inside Sri Bhagavan.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes.
आफ्टर वही जनरली हम लोग देखते हैं कि सोल्स के बारे में जब बात करते हैं तो ये बोला जाता है कि तो सोल का इवॉल्वमेंट होता है पहले, लाइक you might be in the tribal area, very young soul which is not so matured, or like slowly it evolves and then it becomes matured and so forth.
Yeah.
या फिर it is other way around. Some people says that okay, the first person, the when soul takes a life, the first time it is very pure, and slowly in the word it keep maybe accumulating those impurities and slowly start going downwards or further upwards. So I'm little confused about it by different people when they say about it. So what is that your views would be on this?
See, both the versions are right. Now, in one of the sessions, we talked about how a living being evolves and comes to the human form of life. And before the evolvement, the degradation happens. Like the upliftment can only happen when somebody is little at lower level, right? When the person is at the lower level, that person only can be uplifted or elevated. If the person is at a higher level, there is no elevation required.
So the way first time it get created at the lower level. The God creates whatever Brahmaji creates the body, or like so whatever, it get created at the lower level or it get created at the higher level.
Yeah. So this I was going to speak about it. See how we fall down in this material world. How do we come here? We belong to the spiritual world in our original spiritual form.
Correct.
This is not our original form.
Right.
Our physical body is like a confinement for the spirit soul. Right? Because of this physical body, we experience so many limitations. Our body ages, our body grows.
Correct.
And gets depleted. In older age, our energy goes down. But the desires don't vanish. The desires remain, and the senses also become very strong. Senses remain very strong. The sense organs become weak. Senses, they don't become weak. So because senses are strong, desires are very strong, but the sense organs have become very weak, that causes frustration. Because that creates a limitation to enjoy. So that causes frustration. So this is considered, the physical body is considered as a prison house for the soul. The soul is entrapped in the physical body. Now, how it happens? So we belong to the spiritual world,
which is a pure world, I can say, right?
Yes, that's a pure world. Correct?
Yeah.
Complete
so first
goodness.
time, the first time somebody will take a body, it would be a pure, relatively pure when he start the birth.
Correct. So when any living being falls into the material world, because the living being expresses the desire to Krishna that I want to enjoy without you. Because in the spiritual world, everybody is worshipping you. So I also want to be worshipped like you. So Krishna tells him, like supposing a lion will tell other animals that in the forest there is only one lion. Right? If you want to enjoy, you go to find some other place. So same thing happens with the living being. So living being is sent to the material world in the form of Lord Brahma, the highest position in the universe, the creator. So Krishna says, okay, you also enjoy in the universe. I'll give you the topmost position in the universe. You go and create your own universe. Whatever number of planets you want, whatever living beings you want to put there, you do that. You have full authority. So what happens? This also I discussed. Why the degradation happens. Now a living being comes to the material world at the topmost position in the universe. Now, if we see the universe, there are innumerable planets, right? And the material creation, in Sanskrit, it is called Bhavasagar, means gigantic ocean. And all these planets, they are round in shape. They are rotating around their own axis and they are revolving around other planets. in the orbit. And most of the planets revolve around the sun planet. And the sun planet also revolves around the North Star. So this is the way the planets are moving around, and all planets are in the round shape. So I gave an analogy. Supposing we take a big container and we put water in that, and we take a stick and rotate the water inside. So in the middle of that pot, kind of a centrifugal force will be created in the water, which is like a miniature of the whirlpool, right? And if we put any light thing inside in that water, it will go around and down, and then eventually it will go at the bottom of that pot, get trapped in the whirlpool. So same thing happens with the living beings. We come to this material world, and the planets are rotating and revolving around different planets. So they are going round and round. So we going at the, because of the centrifugal force or this gigantic ocean, the water, we are going down and down. So from the topmost planet in the universe, the living beings start falling down. The Earth planet is in the middle. There are 14 levels in the creation. 6 planets above the Earth planet and 7 planets below the Earth planet.
Okay.
So we go down and down. Here I had humorously said, that it's a known fact. It's scientifically proven. If somebody wants to be freed from the whirlpool, one should not make any effort, should not try the expertise. A swimmer also should not try his expertise in swimming to come out of the whirlpool. If someone tries to use the swimming skills to come out of the whirlpool, that the water, the centrifugal force will push the person down even further. Does anyone remember what solution I gave? What is the solution given? And it is scientifically proven.
Surrender.
If somebody,
Surrender.
in what way?
Going with the flow of life, like whatever circumstances is coming, accept and surrender, and it will pass, and finally you will come out of that.
Normally, whenever we surrender to someone, supposing if a criminal person, criminal surrenders himself in front of the police, what the police asks him to do?
Hands up.
Hands up, right?
So,
Hands up. And that's a scientifically proven that if somebody gets entrapped in the whirlpool, the person should raise the arms up. Don't try to swim. Just raise the arms up. The water itself will throw you out. And this is scientifically proven, I'm saying. But don't experiment on yourself. So in the material world also, when we surrender in front of the Almighty Supreme Person, then the material energy of the Lord will say, you're a useless person, you don't belong to this world, you get out. And without our effort, without any effort from our side, the path to liberation becomes easier for us. So surrender is the prerequisite for spiritual progress. So coming back to what we were discussing, to your question, Prabhuji. So yes, this is the downfall. Then gradually we go down and down, and then even we may go to the lower planets which are below the Earth planet. Patala, Sutala, Rasatala, those kind of planets. And again, when we come back to the Earth planet, which is in the middle, from here either we can go up or we go down. So here, when we come to the Earth planet, by the mercy of the Lord, if we come in contact with any self-realized soul, a guru, who can teach us about Lord Krishna, about the Supreme Person, his glorification, and that can help us to get elevated, liberated. So then we start going up. Now on the Earth planet, if we do pious activities, we can get elevated to the heavenly planets. And there we can enjoy. Heavenly planets is only for enjoyment. But that is not liberation. Many people They mistaken it as a liberation. That's not liberation. Once, in the discussion, I mentioned that the reward of pious activities can also become the cause of bondage, can also work as an incentive to commit sinful activities, to do sinful activities. I give you an example of people here in Hong Kong. Relatively, they are more opulent, right? They are very well off, wealthy. So people who have extra wealth, they don't know how to use it. I'm just talking about some people in Hong Kong. I know they go to Macau to gamble and drink liquor. So that those are sinful activities. That means due to their previous pious activities, they got the reward of good wealth in this life, and they don't know what to use, how to use. They don't have that wisdom because they have not read the scriptures. Then they start misusing it, and then they start committing the sinful activities, and then after that they have to suffer for that. So the reward of the pious activities works as an incentive to commit sins.
But this is happening all over the world.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Of course, everywhere it's
it's
happening.
happening. Yeah.
Yes,
People are misusing their power.
correct. Yes. Since you raised this point, before we go to that point, Prabhuji, does it answer your question? What you raised the point?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much.
You're welcome. So, Shakuntalaji, you raised this point about misusing.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
So if you say that one thing is that to accept the life, like जो हो रहा है अच्छा हो रहा है. So if we are facing a lot of struggles in the material world, you just accept it, you just go with the flow. However, the second thing which you said is ki do the pious activities, and if you are good enough, then you'll be thrown out from this material world and you will raise up in little more higher or maybe liberation. So these are two different things. So for example, if I go to my office, people are so corrupt. If I don't be corrupt, then I'm thrown out of that office only. But if I do become material, if I'm like pious, okay, I'll just ignore and be small and simple. I will not succeed in office life, but then probably I'll be better. At least I'm not corrupted, so I'll be better off.
Yeah.
So what do you suggest? I need, because we people, if we need to teach our children, what do we teach? To be good or to be corrupt?
Yes. Very good point. Very practical point you raised, Aditi ji. See, now here we need to understand the difference between pious activities and spiritual activities. When we do pious activities, then we qualify to get the reward of the pious activities. Then we can get a comfortable life. We can enjoy comforts in our life. The spiritual activities can help us to get liberated. Pious activities can help us to get elevated to the higher position, to more comfortable position, but not liberation. Spiritual activities, devotional service can help us to get liberated. Now, you mentioned about going with the flow. See, we are not completely helpless creatures which will just go with the flow. We have free will and we have wisdom. So we need to use both. We need to use our wisdom and we need to use our free will. And if the flow is not in the right direction, then we need to stop and change our direction. We are human beings. We are not like sheep, herds of sheep. So God has given us some intelligence, wisdom, and free will. So we need to make the proper use of these things and then make proper decision at the right time. We should not, of course, we should not become corrupted. And if corruption is happening, we need to object. Now you mentioned that if you object, then you'll be thrown out from that environment. Yes, apparently, if you see in short term, it can cause a bit of misery, but that misery will be temporary. Because you stick to your principles, you don't compromise with your principles, which are the injunctions given in the scriptures. You don't compromise. So initially, yes, for that moment, you may feel miserable, but later on, the universal energy will open so much of opportunity for you. Because you use your free will, you use your wisdom, and you did not compromise. So the universal energy, supreme personality of Godhead, will give you so many of opportunities. This I'm telling you from my personal experience and what I've heard from so many of my other friends and clients. So there is no doubt about it. But we need to have firm faith. When we have firm faith and we are firm, we are quite fixed in our belief, and that belief system also has to be based on the scriptures, not our own manufactured belief system. Does it make sense, Aditi ji, what I'm saying?
Sure, sir. But it's just that the world is not that black and white. We cannot really say, okay, this is
Absolutely.
what is corruption. So, for example, there are two again opposite things. One is humility, and the other is aggressive. Aggression, and just go on, bang on, head on against whatever the challenges that are coming our way. So, I'm again taking the example of an office, which is this is what the world is we survive in. So if we bang on head on and be aggressive, it doesn't follow with my own principles, because then people are just doing one work and showing themselves off like in five different ways. So they are obviously appreciated much better. However, if I am humble, humility, I just accept things, and I just tell my superior that I've done this, and I need to move forward. So that will not be accepted. Like, अरे ये तो मतलब, she doesn't even show up, and sorry, I mean, she doesn't show up that much. She's not that participative. She may not be good enough. Although I may be good enough in my work.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
so I'm just saying that this is a little gray area.
I
Anyway,
understand.
hmm,
I totally understand. See, now it's a very practical point you are raising, Aditi ji. It may be relating to other people also, who also may have this similar kind of points in their minds. So what I would suggest, what I would say, that we need to learn to differentiate between humility and cowardice, humility and stupidity. We have to be humble, but not so stupid that people climb on our heads,
true.
right? And now the best example, we can cite about Pandavas. Now Pandavas, they were very capable, right? When they were sent to the wax house, and the wax house was burned, the conspiracy was done by Duryodhana. So when they was saved from that wax house due to the very clever advice given by Vidura, they could have immediately attacked Hastinapur and got their right back. But they did not do that. In spite of having that ability, strength, power, they did not do that. They maintained that humble position, and whatever advice was given to them by Vidura, their uncle, they followed that. So this is called true humility.
True, sir.
They were very humble.
True.
Now in the corporate world, in the office environment, what you raised, Aditi, the point, you need to be a bit diplomatic. One should not have duplicity. Duplicity is different from being diplomatic. Diplomacy is required, and it is good. And whenever you want to express yourself, you want to assert yourself, you should do that. But that, according to the time, place, and circumstance, we need to assert ourselves. Where silence can be more beneficial for us, we should keep our mouth shut. But where we see, people are crossing the line, then we need to be very firm. So this is what my humble suggestion to you would be, Aditi ji. I think you may be more aware about the situation you are talking about, based on what situation you're facing. You're raising these points. So according to the situation, you just make the right decision.
True, sir. Thank you so much. This is wonderful, sir.
Thank you.
Now, Acharya ji, one more question is there. Bhavna is asking, it is in the chat, so I'm asking on behalf of her. Bhavna is asking, could you give examples of pious and spiritual activities? Just now you said these words. So
Yes.
just please give us some example which are the pious activities and which are the spiritual activities.
Okay. The pious activities, broadly speaking, the philanthropical work, people do. Opening schools, hospitals, helping poor people, feeding poor people, hungry people, giving clothes to people who cannot afford to have clothes and all that. So these are pious activities. These are also mentioned in scriptures. One should do it. And the spiritual activities are devotional service, which are directly rendered onto the feet of the Supreme Person. Like, in front of the deity, you will offer the bhoga and all that. And whatever knowledge, see, the philanthropical work, most of the time, it includes the tangible things, tangible objects to be given in charity, right? But when we go a little bit at a deeper level, at a subtler level, the knowledge. Now, instead of feeding a poor person, a hungry person, if you teach that person how to earn his own livelihood, that's better, right? So, only feeding a hungry person, a poor person, that's philanthropical work. And when you apply the knowledge and teach the person to equip himself and earn his own livelihood instead of begging from others, that goes towards the spiritual activity. It is more subtler. And when we advance doing that, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead allows us to engage in the devotional service. Now, devotional service means direct devotional service to the deities, deity form of the Lord, and towards them, towards the devotees who are engaged in the spiritual activities. We have been conducting some, talks, discourses. The topic of those discourses are how to evolve from ritual to spiritual. The ritualistic ceremony is what people do. Many Indians do that, right?
Yes.
But without understanding the devotional, philosophical aspect of those. So it becomes like a formality, there is no interest, there is no enthusiasm. Because customary, it is done, it's like a custom in our Indian culture tradition. So people keep on doing it. Many people, they do the similar ritualistic things in the Chinese culture also. Because the ancestors have been doing, elders in the family have been doing. So we also just follow the family tradition without understanding the philosophical, scientific reason behind it. I give you a practical example, to illustrate this point. Now, supposing we offer incense, right, to the deities, we offer incense. Now, offering incense is just like a formality. How many incense one should offer? And how many times one should offer, going around in circles? So that requires knowledge. So when that knowledge is applied to that simple ritual of offering incense, that offering in incense becomes spiritual. Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
And this also, the simple thing, how many of you, just let me ask you a question. How many of you know that whether we offer incense or we offer lamp, it should always be offered only with the right hand, never left hand? Why?
Yes, you.
Why do we only use right hand, not the left hand?
Yes.
What I know is because left hand is the receiving hand and right hand is the giving hand.
Yes,
I don't know whether
absolutely.
it-
Yeah, long time ago we had discussed this, and just now you're absolutely right. Because we keep on receiving the energy from the universe, and the receiver is the spirit soul residing in our heart, and heart is on the left side. So we keep on receiving from the left hand through the left hand, and it is released from the body through the right hand. So we engage that energy, what we are receiving from the universe, for the right cause, in the right direction, in the right way. That's why this right hand is called right hand, right? So rightfully it should be used. And in English, this the left hand is called left, so it should be left aside.
And Prabhuji, sometime, let's say some of the let's say individuals are left-handed. For example, like my daughter is left-handed. So the same rules apply to her
Yes, unless somebody's heart is on the right side.
because she is, see, right from the beginning. Now she will eat, she,
Understood.
all the activities, mostly which we do it from right hand. So now, how do you then? So
See,
change?
yeah, I fully understand. This question, several times people have asked when I'm giving discourses here in Hong Kong also. This topic comes up again and again. See, we need to follow what is mentioned in the scriptures. I share with you one incident happened in Krishna's life. Lord Brahma, the creator, he had doubt whether Krishna is the supreme person or not. Why when he came to see Krishna, his doubt became very strong. He became very confused because in the scriptures, the injunctions stipulated in the scriptures are given by Krishna, right? In the Vedas. Vedas are part of Krishna, right? So in the scriptures, it is mentioned that we should always use the right hand for eating. If we want to feed someone also, we should feed the person with the right hand, not the left hand. Because the energy has to flow in the right direction. Correct? So when Brahma came down, he saw Krishna's friends were feeding him with their left hands. And Krishna also was feeding them with the left hand. So then Brahma was scratching his head, that how come this person, such a small boy, can be supreme personality of Godhead? Because he does not have any sense that one should not use a left hand for eating. So he cannot be a supreme, knowledgeable person. So this is one incident. There is another incident in the Bhagavatam. There were two brothers, Dundukari and Gaukaran. Gaukaran was very saintly person, and Dundukari was very degraded person. And Dundukari had the habit of eating with the left hand, and because of eating with left hand, his intelligence, he lost his intelligence. This is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So it is said that, in nutshell, it is said, people who eat with the left hand, slowly, they lose their intelligence, spiritual intelligence. They may be very good, materially they may be very good, very competent, but they are deprived of the spiritual wisdom. Only limited what they can do spiritually. So for that reason also, if it is possible, if you see anybody using left hand, please correct that person. Especially for eating, and if some devotional service is done, like offering incense, lamp, those kind of things. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So Bhavanaji, did you get the answer to your question?
Actually, she's not at home. I think maybe not in a place the way she can ask. So,
Okay.
So she has said she just wanted to ask. So she says thank you.
Okay.
She mentioned in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we go forward now.
Yeah.
Now then Shukdev Goswami is telling Parishit Maharaj about what Brahma did. And Brahma was given the instructions by Krishna to create the different planets, innumerable planets in the universe. And following the draft which was given to Brahma, the guideline given to Brahma, Brahma started creating different planets. Now here also I want to mention the 8.4 million species of life. They are in the whole universe. So, earlier somebody asked about some creatures becoming very extinct. So yes, they may disappear from the Earth planet, but they may be somewhere else. So the total number, aggregated number of 8.4 million species of life will be there in the whole universe. Right? So now Brahma created so many planets. This also point many times people raise many so-called modern scientists whose intelligence is very limited, perception is very limited. So they say that life is only on the Earth planet. There is no life on the other planets. So our Param Guru, Srila Prabhupada, discussing on this topic, very logical explanation he gave. He said that supposing government gives contracts to the developers to construct some buildings in the city. So why would government give contracts to the developers, and why would the developers construct the buildings? Will any developer construct a building, invest so much of money just to leave the building empty? Nobody should go and stay there. No builder, no developer will do that, right?
Right.
So if a normal developer in this material world constructs a building so that people can come and live. Now the Supreme Person, Krishna, who gives intelligence to the developers to construct the buildings for citizens to live, he told Brahma to create so many planets in the universe and leave other planets empty. Just only the life should be on the Earth planet. That means we are doubting his intelligence.
Correct.
Right?
And on the top of that, we keep getting UFOs. That's
correct.
Proof.
Correct. Yes. And see here also, I want to mention, our human arrogance. We human beings, we are so arrogant. You might have seen the aliens. Many Hollywood movies, they show the aliens. Right?
Yeah.
How they show the aliens? Very ugly looking, right? But in the Bhagavatam, in the other scriptures also, it is mentioned the citizens, the denizens in the heavenly planets, they are thousands and millions times more beautiful than the people on the Earth planet. And the Hollywood movie producers, they show the aliens are so ugly looking. Only human beings are beautiful. Of course, no doubt about it. But I'm saying when we compare the beauty, the people living in the citizens living in the higher planetary system, they are more beautiful. So this is the point I want to make. The life is there on the other planets also. Only we cannot see because we are not qualified to see the living beings on those planets. What to speak of seeing the life, living beings on the other planets? We cannot see so many creatures on the Earth planet itself. So many bacteria moving around, right? Viruses moving around us. Germs are there. We cannot see with the naked eyes. So we have limitations. So we need to accept, we need to be humble and accept our limitations and acknowledge, yes, there can be life on the other planets also. So overall, when the life was created, now the life is dependent on the universal element, right? What are the universal elements?
Panch Mahabhut.
Correct. The great elements, right? What are those, Chakunalaji?
Ether, Akash, yeah, or we can say space, then air, then fire, then water, and then earth.
Correct. Correct. Now, these 5 elements, they have corresponding elements or objects, you can say. Sense objects and senses.
Yeah.
Now, which sense organ, sense of perception, corresponds to the space element?
Shabd. Ear.
Shabd, yes. Sound.
Yes, sound.
Correct. Sound is the element, subtle element, and the sense organ is the ear.
Right.
The sense is the sense of hearing.
Yeah.
Our ear is not a sense of hearing. Ear is just an organ. Sense of hearing is inside. Correct? That's why, even somebody's ear is cut, person can hear. Because sense of hearing is inside. So that is the first one, the space. So the corresponding sense is the sense of hearing, and the organ, sense organ is the ear. Then the second one, air,
Here. Sparsh. Skin.
sense of touch,
Yeah.
skin,
Skin.
right? Yes. And then third one, fire,
Eyes.
vision, sense of vision.
Sense of
The sense organ is the eyes. And the fourth one, water,
taste.
Taste.
ras,
Taste. Tongue.
correct?
Correct.
So the tongue. And then the fifth one, earth,
Yeah.
But smell.
No.
smell, sense of smell, correct? And the sense organ is the nose,
Nose.
correct? So these are the five senses, five elements, and the sense organs, correct?
Mm.
So these are total 15 elements.
Yeah.
So in the second canto, initially, Shukdev Goswami mentions to Parishit Maharaj about 16 elements.
Okay.
So which one is the 16th one?
Mind.
Mind, correct, correct, right? And now in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, when Krishna is having conversation with Uddhav, he is telling Uddhav 17. Uddhav is telling Krishna 17. Some philosophers, like Sankhya philosophy, we call it Sankhya philosophy, they talk about 17.
Correct.
So which one is the 17th one?
That's buddhi, intellect.
Yeah, normally we say buddhi, but in that context, 17th one is the self, the living being, the living being. That's the 17th one. The
Living.
soul, spirit soul.
Okay, the soul, not the jeev. Okay.
Yeah, Jivatma. We call it Jivatma.
Jiva.
So Jivatma is the 17th one. Then Uddhav also said, like you mentioned about buddhi and chit and all that. So those are also elements. So different philosophers, they come up with different numbers. So Krishna told Uddhava, all of them are right, because they are supplementing each other's theory. They are not contradicting. These sages, their theory fits into other person's theory. They don't contradict. Modern scientists, they contradict each other's theories. Because the ego is so strong. I am right, other person is wrong. Not to prove myself right, I need to prove the other person is wrong. This is the ego, right? So these are the elements which were created. Now the source of the origin of these elements is Mahat Tattva. Now, how that Mahat Tattva came into existence? What is Mahat Tattva?
Paramatma, God, Supreme.
Sorry?
That is Paramatma. Yeah, Supreme Reality, Param Brahm.
The Mahat Tattva, in this context, it is talked about, the water, the layer of water, which is like a link between the spiritual world and the material world. You can say as a link, or you can say as a division also. And that Mahat Tattva, that water,
Is that the that? So Prabhuji, I was just. Is that the that Viraj mention of that? Is that the same? Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Guruji. I have a doubt about what are these 15 elements. I have understood 5 senses and 5 elements which are related to the senses. But these 15 elements I have not understood.
So 5 are the Mahabhutas, those universal elements.
Yeah.
5 are the corresponding senses.
Yes.
Then the 5 are the sense organs.
Yeah, understood.
Correct? And the 16th one is the mind.
Yeah. If I can just ask you one thing, I was listening to one bhajan by Kabir,
Ah,
and in that, since it is related to that, the wordings were Hirna so samaj booj van charna.
hmm.
In that, Kabirji says like he's using the term hiran for month, and he says कि वन में पांच पहला वन चढ़ना, दूसरा वन चढ़ना, तीसरे वन में पग नहीं धरना, क्योंकि तीसरे वन में 5 हंटर हैं और उनकी नजर में मत आना, और वहां पर 25 हिरनियां हैं. So I was just thinking maybe these numbers you are telling are related to those 25 things that Kabir ji is mentioning in that bhajan samaj booj ban charna.
Now see the interpretation. In my understanding about that Kabir's that particular bhajan you quoted just now. So he said that first one, what you said, Pratham. उन्होंने हिरन का उदाहरण दिया है. He used the example of a deer, right? So he
Yes.
said that in the first one, what one should what do or not do.
He says पहले वन चरना, पहले वन में चरने चले जाना, दूसरे वन में चले जाना, लेकिन तीसरे वन में पग मत धरना.
हाँ.
क्योंकि वो बोलते हैं तीसरे वन में हंटर्स हैं, और वहां पर ये जो 5 जो हमारे इंद्रियों के जो सेंसेस ऑर्गन और इन सब के चक्कर में पड़कर तुम मारे जाओगे.
हाँ. Now see, if you have little bit of information or knowledge about yoga, you know, we talk about panchakoshas. Have you heard of panchakoshas?
Yes, Annamaya Kosha, Anna Kosha, something
Yeah.
I remember.
Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha.
Correct.
Vijnanamaya kosha and Anandamaya.
That's absolutely right. Correct. So उन्होंने कहा हिरन के विषय में, he said पहले वन में चढ़ना, right?
Yes.
That means you graze in the first forest. So that is Annamaya kosha.
Okay.
That means we need to eat, right? To survive, we need to eat.
Okay. Yeah.
So पहले वन चढ़ना, that means you graze in the first forest. And दूसरे वन क्या?
दूसरे वन में भी चरना, लेकिन तीसरे वन में पग नहीं करना.
Breathing.
हाँ. तो दूसरे वन में भी चढ़ना, right? So of course we need to survive. For survival we need to breathe. और तीसरे वन
में पग नहीं धरना.
Don't get entangled. Manomaya kosha.
Manomaya.
Entangled.
Absolutely.
All the problems are there only.
That means he's saying, the living being, pag mat dharna means don't follow the mind. You control the mind. Don't follow the mind, because mind will create so many unnecessary desires. If you try to run after the mind, you will be lost. तो इसलिए कहता है, in the third forest, pag mat dharna, don't step into the third forest. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes.
So from this we can understand, you know, these saintly people, when they say something or sing some songs, some bhajans, some devotional bhajans, they are backed by the scriptures, what is already mentioned in the scriptures. It is not their mental speculation. So when we follow such self-realized souls who are pure at the heart, then we also benefit. We don't have to follow the self-proclaimed gurus. Nowadays, so many self-proclaimed gurus are there. You know, sometimes in the discourses, I jokingly say that China is world famous for producing consumer products, and India is world famous for producing gurus, incarnations. You know, every day one person says, "Oh, I'm incarnation of God. Worship me." They don't have any lineage. They are self-made gurus, self-proclaimed gurus. So if anybody doesn't follow a lineage, doesn't come in the lineage, that person, the example is given, In the monsoon season, in the rainy season, the unwanted grass also grows very nicely, right? But when the rainy season is gone, everything is gone. So due to their previous karma, they will flourish. They will have so many followers, right? So many disciples they can make, but only till their good karma lasts. Once that good karma is gone, where they disappear, nobody knows, right? So we need to be very careful. Prabhupada used to say in Kali Yuga, the propensity we have to cheat other people and also to be cheated. So he said that people who want to be cheated, they will find the cheaters and they will get cheated by them. So spiritual life is not so cheap. We should not take it so cheap. These so-called gurus, they are so cheap. I think I shared with you, I will not disclose that guru's name. He's become very, very popular, not only in India, but other foreign countries also. In Hong Kong also, he has many followers. So on one Guru Purnima day, some time ago, on Guru Purnima day, his program was live telecast on TV, Indian channel. So somebody asked him, Gurudev, if we say God resides in everybody's heart, then why do we commit sin? Very valid, very spiritual, very philosophical question, right? What could be the answer? Would anyone like to share? What could be the answer? Or what should be the answer?
I think it is mentioned in one of the Bhagavad Gita verses. It is there.
Yes.
Is mentioned, and I don't remember exactly it is, but it could be, we can say, the gunas, Prakriti's gunas. This is the tamu guna, basically, which is predominant.
You can say that.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to say something? You're very right, Shakuntalaji, what you said. Arjuna asked Krishna this question. Arjuna asked that, sometimes a living being, a human being, becomes so helpless in spite of knowing that what he's going to do is a sin. He should not do it. But there is some kind of force which pushes him to do it. After having the knowledge also that the consequences can be very bad, but he cannot control himself. He cannot stop himself from doing it. And he does it. So what kind of force pushes him to do it?
It could be like because we have practiced that since many life before doing that, going towards that Prakriti, as Shakuntalaji said, because we have been doing maybe entangled into more Maya and all that. We have practiced a lot. That's why we are prone to doing those things more.
Yeah, we can say that. We can say that. But see, when this question was asked from that self-made guru, I call such gurus as self-made gurus, self-proclaimed.
I think it's the three guna which are mentioned, Sato, Tamo, Rajo. So these are active in this material world, and Maya makes us do all those things via these three guns. Is what I can think of.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. But coming back to that conversation between this disciple of so-called guru. So that guru, what he did, he closed his eyes. So we thought, that some words of wisdom will come out from his mouth. So what this guru said, don't you think, after opening his eyes, he said, don't you think sometimes God goes to sleep? God residing in our heart, when he goes to sleep, then we commit sin. Now, such people, they are worshipped as gurus. Nowhere in the scriptures it is mentioned like that God goes to sleep, then human beings commit sinful activities. Nowhere. So, when Arjuna asked this question from Krishna, Krishna told him the strong temptation.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, please.
Interrupt?
Please,
Yeah.
please.
So I'm just trying to look into that answer. So probably when he says that God has gone to sleep, the godly, I mean, the sattva gun has gone down, and then the tamo gun, obviously, that is going to come out. So that has gone down to that kind of sleepiness. I mean, I'm just trying to,
Yeah, I understand. I understand your point. But see, specifically, that person asked about God. He
Okay.
did not ask about the godly qualities. He did not ask about the sattva guna. He asked about specifically about God, the expression of God, which is there in our heart as Paramatma.
Okay.
So there is difference between God and godly. Yes, sometimes the godly qualities they become dormant, and demonic qualities manifest more. Then people commit sin. That's understandable. But when somebody is specifically asking about the presence of God in the heart, and still people commit sin,
Yeah.
and to say that no, God goes to sleep sometimes, then people commit sin, that is not acceptable.
Okay. Okay.
Is that clear, Vediji?
Yeah. Yes. Now I.
Yeah. So your point also is valid. I'm not saying you're wrong. Your point is valid, but we need to understand the difference between when the person asks about specifically about God, not godly qualities.
Correct. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, we were discussing about the creation part. So we
Sir,
should
please,
not follow.
sir, please continue. You were saying, what did Krishna answer? Why do we? What was that force that makes them do?
Oh, I did not say that. Krishna gave one word answer: temptation,
Okay.
the lust. The lust is the cause of sinful activities. Now, the lust also, it does not have very limited connotation. It's a very wide term. In the scriptures, it is mentioned lust means any desire to enjoy any sense. That is lust. Not only the reproductive system, not only the sexual organs, but any sense. If we want to enjoy, that is lust. The desire to see nice scenes, beautiful scenes, that's lust of the eyes. To listen to nice music, relaxing music, that is the lust of for the sense of hearing. To enjoy good food, that's the lust of the tongue. To touch soft bedding, so that's the lust of the sense of touch, like that. So any such desire, if we have to gratify any of the senses, that is lust. And because of that, people commit sin. So even if they have knowledge, they don't listen to the inner voice, and they go ahead and commit sin and then have to face the consequences. Krishna never told Arjuna, when I go to sleep, then people commit sin.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Funny.
now, yeah. So we continue our. How much time do we have, Shakuntala ji?
Another few minutes. Another
Okay.
few minutes. We have or you can complete the 10th chapter if you wish.
No, I think completion will take time because I want to take an opportunity to mention some more things, because this part is called as that Srimad Bhagavatam is the answers to all questions
Yes.
relating to our life.
I'm the waiting for that chapter.
Yeah, so it is better to discuss more in detail, so
Okay.
that we can have proper understanding. What is
Right.
mentioned in the Bhagavatam, it is not the Vyasadeva is just written just for the sake of writing it. When we understand the substance, understand the subject, the sublime subject, then we will be convinced that what Vyasadeva says, that Srimad Bhagavatam is answer to all questions, that is valid. Right? So we are talking about the creation here now, and we covered this, the gross and little subtle elements, and then the living being. So now, in the concluding part, I want to mention, which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita also, the 5 topics of creation, which are mentioned in the Bhagavatam as well as in Bhagavad Gita. First one is Purusha.
Yeah.
Or Ishvara, God. Second is Prakriti.
Maya.
Correct? Third one, Jiva, the living being. Fourth one, Karma. Right? And the fifth one is Kala, time. So Ishvara, the supreme controller. Then is Prakriti. Prakriti also there are two, superior and inferior. Superior operates in the spiritual world and inferior controls activities in the material world. Right? Para and apara. So that is Prakriti, energy of the Lord. Third one is Jiva, the living being. Not only human being, the living being. 8.4 million different species of life. Fourth one is our karma, activities we perform, action and reaction both. And the fifth one is time. I think in one of the sessions, early sessions, we had talked about these five. And I had mentioned also, out of these five, which one is eternal?
Purusha.
Jiva also.
Time,
No, Purusha. The
time.
Okay,
Kal.
go one by one. I ask you, is Ishvara eternal?
yes. The first.
Is Prakriti eternal?
No.
Prakriti is not eternal?
Yes,
It
yes.
is. It is.
It's
It
the
is.
Shakti of God only.
Sorry?
Prakriti is eternal. Yes.
It is eternal because it is the power of, Parashakti, Aparashakti of God only. It has
Correct. So Prakriti also is eternal. The third one, Jiva.
Jiva also is eternal.
Jiva is eternal?
Jiva is not eternal. Yeah, Jiva is not.
No.
It is like because जब से भगवान है तभी से हम भी हैं.
Right. That is Atma, not Jiva. There is
Yeah, Jiva Atma. Shekodala
Jivatma. It means
No.
Jivatma.
you have asked 1 out of 5 now. You said 1 out of 5.
Sorry, 1 out of 5?
Which one is eternal?
No, I said which one is eternal. So all these are eternal. One is not eternal. So Ishvara is eternal, Prakriti is eternal, Jiva Atma is eternal, and then Kala also is eternal.
Kala is eternal. Yes.
Only karma, our karma is not eternal.
Correct. Karma is-
Why karma is not eternal?
It's the Jiva's action, right?
Sorry?
It's the karma is the action by the Jiva. So that can end. It has an ending point.
Very true. When
Can
we
get
do
rid
any
of.
good karma, any pious activities, we get reward.
Yeah. Okay.
So once we get the reward, the karma is gone.
Gone.
Correct? And if we do any nonsense thing, if we do any sinful activity, we are penalized. So when we pay the penalty, that karma also is gone. So out of these five, karma is not eternal. Other four are eternal. Sometimes people, they get confused. Jiva Atma, when we say Jiva Atma, because they say people die. That's why they are not eternal. Right? But death is not the end of the spirit's soul.
Correct. Right.
Spirit soul, it is eternal. Our body perishes. At the time of death, we leave the body, but the soul moves on. Right? So the Jiva Atma also is eternal. Yashnaji very rightly said, because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, so spirit soul also is eternal.
Prabhuji,
So I will
find
yes.
Maya in this. Like you said, these five are the creations of God. So, or that is some other category where we define Maya.
Prakriti is Maya only.
Correct. Prakriti is Maya.
Okay, it is
So
that
the superior Prakriti, which is in the spiritual world, that is called Yoga Maya.
Yoga Maya. So it's like
And
for Maya, we can.
And the inferior energy, which is controlling the activities in the material world, that is Mahamaya. That is Prakriti.
Prakriti and Maya, we can like irreplaceably we can use the word.
Yeah, they are synonymous.
Yeah.
Correct?
Right.
So it is said, that Mahamaya also in the material world, which is controlling our activities, if we surrender to Maya Pati, to the Supreme Person, that Maya becomes our Aya.
Right.
Then that Maya also will start fulfilling our desires. Like the maid servant, the domestic helper will just follow the instructions given by the children also of the employer. So the Supreme Person is the employer. And if we become his children, then that Aya also will start supplying whatever we need. Does it make sense?
If only that could
Interesting.
That is the only thing, only and only.
Yes. So before we stop today's session, conclude today's session, if anybody wants to raise any last point or any question.
It was an interesting session, and the recent example you gave, that was the fantastic takeaway. And becoming the closer to God. Na? It's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyone else, if you want to ask? But we were asking questions throughout the session.
Yeah. So this is what I said, that the session has to be very interactive.
Interactive, yeah.
Then it becomes more interesting.
Correct.
Interactive with the video on.
Yes, that will be good.
At least when we ask questions.
Sure. I think, yeah.
Video on.
We should. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Shakuntalaji.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.